In this video and illustration, you'll learn about transactional analysis, which was a book done in 1970 called I'm Okay, You're Okay, that explained one of Freud's concepts. For those of you who don't know who Sigmund Freud is, he's sort of the dad, the father of psychology, okay? So what it explains is Freud's concept of the superego, the ego, and the id. So let's watch the illustration, and I'll be back in a minute.
So when we talk about Freud, he talked about the superego, the ego, and the id. And there was a book that came out in the 1970s that translated the superego to the parent, the ego to the adult, and the id to child. Each of us has a parent, an adult, and a child in us. And it's up to us to know when our child is getting a little crazy and getting a little ridiculous. And, you know, it's like, okay, for me, I want a piece of jewelry. Okay, that's the child in me that sees the shiny bauble and wants it. Okay. My parent has to go, no, honey, we really don't need to have one of those. And my adult has to go, well, but if you really want it, what's a good way to get it? Well, you could save up for it. So we each have a parent, an adult, and a child in us. We need to learn how to regulate our child by using our best parent and our best adult.
It's really important for us to know that each of us has a parent, adult, and a child in us, and that we are able to apply those concepts to us, especially when we're acting like a kid. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you a couple of examples. Say you're in front of like one of your favorite dishes and you eat it until like you're overstuffed and really uncomfortable. That's your little kid. Another example is you go to a jewelry store and you see, so many things that you want to buy and you end up putting them all on a credit card. Okay, that's your kid. The important thing to remember is your parent regulates that child, and you have to be your own best parent. You have to be able to hold that child in warm regard and say, honey, you can't buy everything in the jewelry store that you see. Honey, maybe you take a doggy bag home of that favorite food, okay, and you don't eat it all. And thereby, what happens between that parent and child, there's no shame, there's no guilt, there's none of that, okay? You hold that child in warm regard and you put limits and boundaries on them. Remember what I talk about, boundaries, respect, trust, love, self first, and then other, thereby allowing the adult in you to have balance.